Welcome to the Executive Hustle podcast, where I am your host, Kirsten Urich, speaker, author, retired CEO, mother of four, and recovering workaholic. Explore with Central Pennsylvania local executives what it takes to lead well, live well, and learn well. Understanding that leaders cannot survive, let alone thrive, without a spirit of curiosity, a discipline of accountability, and a disposition for vulnerability. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Executive Hustle podcast. I am so excited to welcome Lee Rubin. Lee, we've met a couple times, and I've been so honored to hear you as a speaker, and I'm pretty sure I've seen you on the field. Many of my favorite memories as a young person are going up to Penn State and with my grandfather, my late grandfather. We would leave really early in the morning. We'd stop and get donuts. We'd stop and get Kentucky Fried Chicken. These are not foods I eat anymore, but they are the foods of my memory of going up to Penn State. He had season tickets. And this is just a special treat for me and our listeners to have you here today. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's amazing how how strongly stories are attached to our childhood and certain experiences, right? It's not just we went to a game.
Oh, yeah.
I remember how early it was. I remember where we stopped, and that was consistent. It was frequent. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
All
have
of that
memories
came
as
flooding
well.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. Let's start, up there at State College. You were voted as captain, and that's something that is discovered, and you're brought into that role, right? You're not assigned. What did your teammates see in you there that they voted you captain, and did you see that in yourself, or was that a surprise?
Not a surprise. Uh, I I've been the captain of just about every team I've been on, right? In high school, captain of the football team, captain
Okay.
of the basketball team.
Hmm.
And what I know or what I'm comfortable accepting is it's not about your skill level
Mm-hmm.
because there's been people on the team who are more talented than me, bigger, faster, stronger.
Mm.
I think the reason I've been voted or selected or honored as a
Yeah,
captain is
good
because
word.
I embody the principles that the team and leaders look for,
Okay.
right? So it's your ability to not just hear what's important from coaches and leaders and
Yeah.
parents. It's do you do the things that will help the team get to where we're trying to go?
Mm-hmm.
And so discipline is really important to me. Um, Teamwork is really important to me, right? Not being selfish, not being self-centered. So when it's time to say, okay, who's going to lead us? It's typically the person who embodies those principles, right? They're punctual, they're sacrificial, they're committed. They're not necessarily the best because, especially at Penn State, I was not physically the best person there.
Yeah.
Not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest, not the most agile,
Mhm.
but was on time for meetings. Did the stuff that is sometimes uncomfortable to do. So my perspective on being captain and being a leader is you embody the principles. You do them on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And then that earns you that seat for that team. Wow.
Yeah, because it's aspirational for everyone on the team, right?
Yeah.
Who's doing it most frequently and most
Hmm. Hmm.
consistently?
It's got to
I
be
think,
difficult, though. I mean, you're talking about the things that a leader needs to be doing, but people want the seat. But when they realize what it actually means, I, not everybody wants to stay there once they sort of realize those things. Like you're talking about discipline, committed, being the one on time, you know, doing the sacrifices and not being the most skilled people. A lot of people would rather just be the skilled person and be the leader, but you don't necessarily get to be both.
Yeah, especially in today's environment where everyone's a brand, even at the high
Mm,
school level, right? The
yeah.
kids are getting NIL money, right?
Ugh,
Name,
right?
image, and likeness money. So you want to stand out in a way where you're attractive to people. And
Yeah.
to your point, I don't think people understand the pressure of the visibility of being visible.
Yes, it's
Right.
one all the time,
Yeah,
right?
right. You want the attention until you get the attention, and then everything is scrutinized, everything is commented on, right?
Hmm.
The fact that I know, or that the public knows, who the top 13-year-old quarterback is in the country, that's a lot of pressure on a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, it's fun to have people talk about you positively,
Hmm.
but
That
with
turns
that
on a
visibility
dime.
comes, yeah,
Yeah, that turns on a
you're not emotionally ready to handle that.
dime. Mm-mm. No, and even in college, I'm guessing that was difficult for you. You,
Yeah, because you want to be you, you want to be a kid, you want to be
right?
19, you want
Make
to
some
be
stupid
20.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so happy social media did not exist.
Oh, right. Completely different experience in the early
Woo,
90s
yeah,
than it would
yeah,
be today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I've heard you define winning, right? So obviously on a team, a football team such as the Nittany Lions, right? Winning's pretty important, but I've heard you talk about winning differently, and so I'd really would love to sort of separate that and dissect that a little bit here because it has a really cool application for leadership. I've heard you define winning as not necessarily beating the other guy, but as
Right.
meeting or exceeding your expectations. When did this come into your mind? When did this definition land for you, and how does it show up across your leadership, your teachings, things like that?
The more time I spend with teams, the more I understand that winning cannot be a comparative or relative idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm frequently asked to speak to teams that just won the championship last year, right? Or last season.
Yeah, yeah,
So how do you push a team who's just had their ring ceremony, right? Their
sure,
championship ring
sure.
ceremony. How do you push them? So it's not about them being the best. It's about them being their best. And
Mm,
even if they're better than all of their counterparts or the other teams in their conference, division, region, country, it's it's are you pushing to be your absolute best?
mhm,
And so I challenge that idea of winning being better than you. It's positioning, it's creating this gap between where you are and
mhm.
where you could and should be.
Right.
And so that's what I think a competitor does. They are always striving to close that gap. And so yeah, we're number one in our market. So what?
Hmm.
Right? Because right, they don't matter.
Right.
What we do and how we provide the best products or services for our customers, our clients, for the people we serve, that should that's what should be driving us.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right.
it seems like there's much more of an up and down when I use somebody else's metric. If I live and
Correct.
die by that metric, up and down, my ups and downs are going to be so volatile. That seems so detrimental to my psyche versus what are my internal metrics? What's my process? What my discipline? Going back to a word you used
Yep.
earlier.
Yep.
And am
Yep.
I adhering to that? How am I doing on my process? I've got a lot of producers that I work with, and that's their mindset, right? So this is very familiar in thinking about like it's not the sale was a yes or a no. It's did I stick to my process? Did I do all of the right things? And the win or loss of the sale, I can't live or die by that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're introducing a whole nother topic that I love. So let me take a step back. I spent the first 5, 6 years of my HR career.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a human resources guy at Merrill Lynch. So
Mm-hmm.
recruiting financial advisors, recruiting producers.
Yeah.
And the big deal was the rankings, the stack
Oh
rankings,
yeah.
right? So
Yep.
there'd be a monthly public display of who was the best in the
Name and
office and the
shame. Name and
region
shame. Mm-hmm.
and The best producers, yeah, there was this desire to be the best, but there was also this underlying thing where, okay, what if I'm not around the best? What if the other best are not in my office? I should be driving past that. And the analogy of runners, right? Track and field.
Yeah.
If you're spending your time looking to the left and the right to see what others are doing,
Yeah.
it's slowing you down. So
Yes.
like just stay focused straight ahead, right?
Mhm. Right,
You're
right.
trying
At the
to
goal at the
what
end.
yeah, absolutely. The finish line is straight ahead. It's never to your right or to your left.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that I like to talk about with leaders is you mentioned the last thing you just mentioned. It just slipped.
The producers and the process and
The process.
yeah. Uh-huh.
The process. The best leaders I've been around celebrate behaviors and not outcomes,
Hmm.
right? They will stop in the middle of practice and say, those are the behaviors that will get us to victory. Those are the behaviors that will get us to a win.
Hmm.
And so we don't wait for the win to
Win. Yep.
celebrate. We celebrate the behaviors because if we keep putting those behaviors
Right.
back to back, day after day,
Right. Because
um,
that's what we
w-
can control, right? In a game,
that's
we can do, I've heard it said like we can do everything right and still lose, right? And
exactly. You
right.
can't control outcomes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? As a speaker, I can share all my marketing material, I can have the conversation, but if they want a different speaker with a different topic or a different
Right.
approach, I
Right.
can't control that. And
Yeah.
so the only thing I can do is control what I can control.
Control my controllables. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your track and field analogy and looking left and looking right is beautiful. I read just recently something very similar, and it was about reaching your goals. And it was like, look, if you stop to yell at every barking dog, you're never going to get there, right? And that's like
Exactly.
every time a competitor is they introduce this or they do this or they do that, like if they're the barking dogs, and if you stop and attend to everything that's happening inside of your market and your competitors left and right, you'll never reach your goals
I love that.
and close that
Yeah.
gap.
Yeah. Yell at the barking dogs. Try to
Yeah, yeah,
silence
yeah.
the
I love
barking
that.
dogs. Leave,
Yeah.
let the dogs bark.
Oh, yes. Exactly. And focus on your goal. Keep looking straight, like you said.
Yeah. I'm a quote guy. And so one of
Hmm.
my favorite quotes is discipline is remembering what you want.
Oh, gotta write that down.
The reason we get off track is because we get temporary amnesia. We forget what it is we really want.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about dieting, right? What we really want is to be healthy and fit and trim
Hmm.
and productive. We slip when we forget what we really want. When that pie or that cake is in front of us, we get amnesia. We forgot what we really wanted, and there's this immediate
Yeah.
gratification, this
Long
immediate
term versus
pleasure.
short term.
Like,
Yeah.
no, this is a distraction from what I really want. And so
Hmm.
that helps quite a bit. Helps me, stay disciplined, stay on track.
Hmm. Yeah, and I see that a lot with leaders in terms of they get distracted with a lot of noise versus that signal, which is what do I really want? What am I searching for in, my vision and those kinds of things. And keeping people really focused on that big thing out there in the future.
Absolutely.
Super important. Talk to me about your 5 C's. This is your secret sauce when it comes to team. You said you're a team guy before we started recording, and I just love that because what is it that we were saying? There is no leader if there's not a team, right? It's just
Yeah.
a guy taking a walk, right? Martin
Yeah,
Luther King.
absolutely.
Um,
You're by
so
yourself. Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
by yourself, right? And you can't. That's why people start companies because I can't. Like I've got a passion, I've got a skill. I want to do more. I want to make a mark. I can't do it by myself. I can only go so far by myself.
Absolutely.
The African proverb, right?
Yep.
If we
Yep.
want to go far, go together. So the 5 C's, break them down for me.
Yeah, let me start with the foundational principle, the foundational philosophy first. You hinted at it. Let me state it.
Yeah, awesome.
Teams exist because there's a challenge or an opportunity that is too big for one person to handle alone. That is my starting point.
Yeah, perfect.
It speaks to both clarity, right? What is the challenge and or the opportunity, right? We've got to be clear about that. But the other implicit idea is interdependence. We need each other. I can't do this by myself. And so that speaks to relationships and healthy professional relationships. Because when you embrace interdependence, you understand that people are not pawns.
Yeah.
People people are necessary. These other humans are not just things to be manipulated or people to mistreat to help you get where you want to go.
They're not
No,
assets.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are critical components to the team, and you can't be successful unless we're all successful.
Hmm.
So that's the starting point. And then the five C's, I don't think I've ever shared this publicly. The five C's were born out of a conversation I had with a college women's soccer coach.
Oh, so
The
cool.
coach asked me to come speak to the team, and I was at a excuse me. The coach asked me to come speak to the team, and I was at a New Jersey diner, right?
Mhm.
And literally took out a pen and wrote some notes down from our conversation on a napkin.
Yeah.
Coach, what are the team's issues? I want to make sure that I'm addressing what's important to your team.
Yep, yep.
And he started talking. He says, "Well, yeah, they were really competitive in high school, but right, I don't see that fire anymore.
Mhm.
They're playing like a roster of individuals and not working towards a common goal."
I'm seeing it coming together.
Yeah, they talk in cliques, but right, my seniors aren't communicating with my juniors, and
Yep,
they're not hanging out with my freshmen. So communication is an issue.
yep, yep.
I don't really see team chemistry, right, the way we need to be champions. And so I'm writing this down on a napkin,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, wait,
He's building it.
There's four
Yeah,
C's.
yeah.
And then right, he goes, and then like we're just not consistent. There's some days we're great, some days we're not. There's just no consistency. And so those became
Mm.
the five C's,
That's
right?
yeah.
Extraordinary teams are composed of competitors, not people fighting against each other, but people driven to be their best.
Mm.
Extraordinary teams, number two, has a common goal, right? Not only is it clear, but individually, we're willing to make sacrifices to achieve what's best for the team. Third, extraordinary teams communicate. And that's more than just the exchange of information, it's creating a culture of trust, right? Because you will never get the best from each team member if they don't trust the others. Fourth one, extraordinary teams have this thing called chemistry. And here's where I get a little cute, right? Chemistry is about bonds,
Yeah, I
and
remember. Yeah,
bonds are formed under heat and pressure,
yeah.
right? Bonds are not formed because we hang out on the
Mm-hmm.
bus.
Starbucks. Mm-hmm.
No, bonds are formed when there's an external stimulus that is uncomfortable, it is adverse, and
Yep.
it forces us to make a decision. Either we're going to come together and do this together,
Right.
or we're going to fall apart and try to function as individuals. And then the fifth one is extraordinary teams are consistent. There's no way we can consider ourselves extraordinary if we're not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I leverage a quote by Aristotle that we are what we repeatedly do.
Mm-hmm.
Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And yeah, those are the five C's,
Yeah.
and that's how they were born. Obviously,
So
they've been
what a
developed over the
great,
years.
yeah, what a great ideology on that. And so that works really well in a sports scenario. You have had experiences in the corporate world bringing this in, working with teams. When you walk in and there's dysfunction, is there one of these that you've found typically is the one that's lacking most frequently? And how do you know? How do you diagnose that?
Yeah. So here's what's funny is I always have a pre-event call, right? A discovery call before
Mhm.
I go in.
Yeah.
And I ask the leaders, okay, what are the issues? What are the pain points? And every leader thinks that their issues are unique to them.
Oh, of course we do.
Right? Yeah. Like, no, no, no. Like, I know you speak to other groups and other teams, but like
We're special.
we're special.
Yeah.
Right. And
God
And
love him.
I position it in such a way where because the truth is it's not, right? Humans are humans and
Yeah.
we behave like humans consistently.
Mhm.
And so every one of the issues fit in one or more of those five components,
Yeah.
right? We're either unfocused or people have lost their passion, either they've forgotten it or quite
Hasn't been
frankly,
communicated well.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, or
Mhm.
because we haven't asked, right? We assume we know what's important to people,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not. They're not willing to be sacrificial because there's been some violations of trust
Mm.
or right, like we don't have the maturity that we need on a team, and when things get tough, we start protecting
Yeah. We
ourselves
back out. Hmm.
instead of becoming vulnerable, right? So it's but to answer your question, the one thread, the one issue that crosses all of those components is communication.
Okay.
Typically,
Communication.
it's a communication issue. It's funny. Another idea that I love to share is the issue is rarely the issue. It's typically communication about the issue, right? We're just not great communicators, which usually means we're not great listeners.
Yeah.
And so when it's time to have those open and honest conversations, we're not really skilled.
No.
And so we hear trigger words like always and never.
Mhm.
We hear emotions and not issues.
And a lot of
And
you language. When I see
yeah, yeah,
poor
yep, yep.
communication, it's a lot of
Yeah,
you language and throwing things out
100%.
on others versus my experience is I'm curious
Correct.
about, I'm concerned about, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We're not skilled communicators.
Yeah.
And that can derail a team pretty easily.
Hmm.
Yeah, you don't care. Well, you can't tell me I don't
Right,
care.
right, right.
You
The only
can't tell
thing
me it's
unique to me
important.
is my experience. So I should only talk about my experience, not you.
Absolutely. So
But
communication
those are
is
skills that we don't teach. We don't teach them in school. We don't teach them in business. We don't teach them in college. People do not, as kids, you're like, well, you're a good listener or a bad listener. Well, that's a helpful dialogue,
yeah,
good and
yeah.
bad. Woo! We
Yeah,
score an A on that one.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a couple things. At the top of my talk, when it's delivered at as a keynote, I ask people to listen with both ears
Hmm.
because these issues are not just professional or workplace issues.
Hmm.
They're interpersonal issues, right? They're marriage issues, or they're friendship issues, or community issues, or faith-based issues, right? A team is a team is a team. And so regardless of where the team, what part of your life the team sits under, the issues are the same.
Yeah.
So it's funny, people tend to lean in when they figure out or when they hear from me, okay, this is not just a work talk,
Hmm.
right? This is across the board.
Yeah. If I allow it to be, this can
Correct.
influence me
Correct.
elsewhere. Yeah.
Correct.
And
The
that's
the
how
other
most
idea,
people. Yeah. Go
the
ahead.
other idea, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other idea is from an experience I had when I worked at Merrill Lynch.
Hmm.
I had the honor of meeting with Stan O'Neill, the
Hmm.
CEO,
Okay.
first African American CEO uh, of Merrill, probably no, I don't think it was any major financial services firm, but definitely the first at Merrill Lynch. And right, Stan O'Neill wants to meet with you because I was recruiting financial advisors, but there was an emphasis on African American financial advisors.
Okay.
So I get a scheduled meeting in his office for 30 minutes, and I'm preparing and making sure that my facts are straight, right? This guy's sharp, right? He's the
Yeah.
CEO.
Sure.
And so we have this meeting, and he's behind his desk when I come in, but he comes around he comes from behind the desk and sits next to me during the conversation. And this was the first time I'd ever watched or witnessed active listening in the workplace.
Oh.
Right? You could see him processing everything that I said.
Mm.
And it was almost like he had this filter right? Because he was completely engaged in this conversation, right? This is kind of pre-cell phone, right? He may
Sure.
have had a cell phone, but like we're talking early 90s, mid
It was in a
90s.
bag somewhere. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It was about this big. It was
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
in
yeah. It was huge.
a cabinet somewhere. But he's sitting there and I'm watching him filter information. I I could use this. I don't need that. Okay, this makes sense.
Hmm.
And I'm watching him like hear like really hear me. And he did the feedback loop. Let me tell you what I think I heard.
What I heard. Yeah.
And I left that office feeling heard.
Seen and heard. Yeah.
Correct.
Hmm.
That I existed. I
Right.
wasn't just a pawn.
You were a
I was
person.
someone who had a perspective, who
Hmm.
contributed to the success of the team,
Hmm.
and I mattered. He could have asked me to do just about anything, work on any project
Right.
after that conversation, and it was a conversation.
Hmm.
Um, I told you I was a quote guy. One of my favorite quotes that I share in my talk is by a gentleman named Andy Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
Leaders, leaders who don't listen are soon surrounded by people who have nothing to say.
Yep. Yep.
Boom, right? That like that. I watched him embody, right? Going back to that idea. I watched him listen to me.
That sounds like
And
it impacted you as a person, as a
I'm still
leader.
talking about it. It's
Yeah.
25, it's
25.
25 years later.
Mhm.
And when I'm having meetings with people on my team, when I'm having meetings with my wife, right? I try to
You
put the
just
cell
called it a
phone
meeting.
down. Yeah, yeah. Honey, can we talk? Oh.
How, how well does that go over?
Yeah, yeah. But if it's important to her, it's got to be important to me. If it's
Right. Right.
And when what again, whether it's marriage or your professional team, when I see that person as integral to the success of our team,
Right.
I remove all distractions and I do my best to actively listen. What are you
Your
saying?
common good. Yep.
And what are you really saying? Right? Right?
It is
Because that's
so much past the words, right? So we have to get past those words when we're listening. Yeah.
yeah.
I I had one of my greatest revelations as a leader when I realized that I was acting as a leader and I was not being a leader.
Mm,
So when you
mm,
met with your CEO, he was being a leader. And
absolutely.
when I first became a CEO, I acted the way I thought a CEO should be versus becoming what a CEO is, which is what you experienced there. And just young and stupid. It took me a while, right? Uh,
Or just unexposed,
yeah,
right?
yeah, could be that.
If you don't know what it looks like, it's hard to model it, right? It's hard to do it if it hasn't been modeled,
Yeah, you do.
rather.
Where would you learn it from?
You do what you think is supposed to be done. And again, that goes to every relationship. I did what I thought a husband was supposed to do. I did what I thought a
Right,
captain was supposed to do based on who the captains were when
right,
I was a freshman
right.
and they were seniors. I think courageous leadership challenges us and pushes us to say what you what's unique about me, what's my fingerprint look like that I can put on this role.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Because if I only
love
do what
that.
I've seen
Yeah.
done,
Yep. 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 Yep.
I
You're
will
putting on
always
someone else's
I
clothes, and
will always be acting.
it's never
Yeah.
gonna be authentic. Yeah. So that's my question is like, is there a moment when you thought you were leading and you later realized you were performing?
There wasn't a moment like the light bulb didn't go off. It's a constant question. It's a
Hmm,
constant question.
interesting.
Let me share something someone shared with me that has impacted me deeply. If the current you and you 10 years ago had a meeting, had a conversation,
Mhm.
and there were no arguments, there were no disagreements, you've got a problem.
Mhm.
You haven't changed, you haven't evolved, you haven't grown. You see things exactly the same way today as you did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I think this goes back to my football training. Every week we're trying to get better. Every week we're investigating. We're watching the film of last week's game
Right.
because we're trying to get better for next week. And so I don't think there was a moment. I think I'm always asking myself that question: who is the authentic Lee, and what am I leaving to this role, to this world that's unique to me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I first started speaking, I shared this talk called "Don't Just Play, Win." Right? Don't just be a player, be a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And the first idea was winners have a clear sense of identity. They know who they are. They're clear about what they can and cannot do. And there was this one line in that speech that I love sharing. You cannot be your best if you're not being yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That
So
success requires authenticity.
yeah. I find sometimes when I'm working with CEOs and there's some real dissonance and some real frustration or anxiety or just, just yuck, coming out,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
it is this gap between who they really are and how they're trying to lead. And
yeah,
what we haven't done is that self-discovery and self-reflection of,
yeah.
you can't pick up a book of the latest leadership philosophy, someone else's philosophy, read it and bring it back to your company and be like, hey, this is how I'm going to lead. That's someone else's philosophy about leading in a different context. Like, no wonder why it's not going to land, right?
Yeah,
Who are
yeah,
you? what what is your company? How do you want to lead? Right. And
correct.
I think that's exactly what you just said. And I see that over and over again.
Yeah. So played at Penn State, which meant I played for Coach Paterno.
Hmm.
I was fortunate, I think, to catch him at the stage of his coaching career that I did,
Hmm.
because at that point he knew who he was. He was clear about what his goals were. He had his philosophies and his approaches and his
Yeah.
core values sort of ironed out at that point, right? He was
Yeah.
probably, I'm guessing around 60, 65 years old at that point.
Yeah.
And he was able to articulate them. What's interesting, and here's a great leadership story. He comes to my house to recruit me, right? He's sitting in my family room with mom and dad, probably my two younger brothers in the room somewhere, or not far off.
Uh-huh.
And he's making his pitch, right? It's now time for the pitch. And he says, Lee, we've watched you on film. One of our coaches has come seen you play. We think you can help us win another national championship. He goes, here's what will happen if you come to Penn State. You will never play in front of an empty seat. No, number one was you're going to get a quality education.
Hmm.
You'll never play in front of an empty seat. You'll be on television 8 to 10 times a year, and you will either play for an undefeated season or a national championship. Okay, where do I sign, coach? Right? And it didn't dawn on me then. I remembered what he said. I still remember what he said,
Yeah.
but it didn't dawn on me until I started recruiting of what the pitch really was. And the pitch was not, here's where I've been and here's what I've done. Because at that point, he had already won two national championships and multiple undefeated seasons.
Hmm.
He said, here's what will happen if you join our team. And the brilliance of that, I don't know if he had thought about that, if right on the car ride to New Jersey, he had thought through that.
Yeah.
But the point is, I could not be a part of his past,
Right.
right?
Right.
It built credibility, but leaders are always pointing towards the future. Here's what will happen
With you
if
on
you
the
come
team.
to Penn State.
Yeah. With you on the
And
team,
you
you're.
are you are critical to our success moving forward.
Hmm.
Right? You
Right. Your
can't sell
resume is
the
what's in the
past.
past. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And I
can't
think
be a part of your past,
that works
coach.
both ways too. Like you think about you were in recruiting in terms of bringing people
It-
on. So many times we get duped by people's resumes because,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they can kind of be falsified, right?
right.
But
Yeah,
versus like,
yeah.
what will you do and how does it match where we're going? And
Yeah, what will you
that
do
match
here? Because it's a
chemistry.
different environment. We've
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
different initiatives. It's a different culture.
yeah,
Yeah, will you fit in here and can you be
yeah.
successful moving forward?
Well, that makes me
And
think of your chemistry, C. And, oftentimes leaders are challenged by teams that aren't jiving, right? Or I brought somebody in and it's kind of wonky.
yeah,
What advice do you have for those leaders that are struggling with chemistry? You can't fake it. You can't, it's not like you'll get along with your brothers and sisters or I'll make you, right? Like you can't make them get along. I've tried it, 4 kids. Doesn't work. What's your advice for leaders that are struggling with chemistry on a team?
chemistry. So if we talk about the science of chemistry, right?
Mm-hmm.
When and so here's what I did. I went to my local high school. I talked to the science teacher. I said, "Listen, I talk about chemistry
Yeah, yeah,
in relationships, but I wonder if there's something from the science of chemistry we can pull to help us with relationships." And I asked her, I said, like, keep this really simple because I've got to
yeah.
grasp it well enough to
Got a public
explain it.
education.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She said, Lee, chemistry is about bonds,
Hmm, hmm.
right? There's ionic and covalent bonds.
Oh boy, you just
The
locked me
sharing,
in.
but this is important, the sharing or the exchange of
Ah,
electrons,
hmm, hmm.
right? And what we're concerned about is when there's an agitation, when there's a disruption to a system, how do those elements respond? And we get to find out a whole lot about the elements and their properties
Hmm.
only under adverse conditions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
When going
ultimately,
gets tough.
yeah,
Yeah.
those elements are looking for stability. And so in human relationships, when there's adversity, we get to find out, right?
Hmm.
What the elements, what the people are really about,
Yes.
right? Life is 10% of what happens to you,
Mhm.
but 90%
What you
of
do
how
with it.
you respond.
Hmm.
And so when things get tough, I think we really need to observe the behavior of our people.
Yeah.
And when we're recruiting, we need to find out, we need to do, forget what it's called. There's an interviewing style that we engage
Behavior based.
behavior based.
Yeah.
Tell me about a time,
Yep.
right? I want to know how you behaved consistently
Yeah.
when things get tough,
Right.
right? Are you looking out for yourself
Yeah.
or are you doing what is necessary for us to get to our common goal?
Mhm.
And so, like in football, we have to watch the film, so to speak.
Mm.
How are we behaving when things get tough? Because
Not
I don't
football.
care how good you are, I don't care how much you've accomplished, how
Right.
talented you are, how clean your code is, right, as a programmer. If you're always fighting, you're a disruption to our team.
Yeah. I love this watching the film. You've said that a few times.
Yeah,
I wonder if the business equivalent is that debrief, right? This is the project. We need to watch the film, debrief how this project, whether we went
absolutely.
well, poorly, it doesn't matter. We need to debrief how we behave, not necessarily the outcome, and what can
100%.
we learn from it, right? A learning organization is a fast organization. What can we learn from that? How can we be a tighter team after that?
100%. And how did we behave when things
Yeah.
got
How
tough?
did we
Did you
behave?
point fingers?
Right.
Did you
Right.
belittle your teammate? Did you throw
Right.
your teammate under the bus?
And go back to
Uh,
that behavior piece you said earlier, celebrate behaviors, but just talk about them, what was expected, what was not. And it's not too many times I see like, well, we got the account, we won the thing, we don't need to talk about it. I'm like,
exactly.
well, was that luck or skill? Right?
100%. 100%.
You
We
need
could
to
have won the
know.
game. We
Yeah.
could have won the game. In
Right.
fact, so I played defensive back. Okay, they didn't beat us deep on a long pass.
Hmm.
But guess what, Lee? You were out of position.
Right, right, right.
right? You
But
got lucky
maybe
that
they
the
just didn't
quarter
throw it.
100%. You got lucky that the quarterback
Yeah.
didn't see the open play.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's only discoverable on
On
film.
the
It's only
film.
discoverable
The
during
debrief.
the debrief.
Yeah.
And that's why for leaders, it's really critical to create a culture for open and honest conversation.
Yeah, it
Right?
goes back to that
I'm hearing
communication.
you. I'm hearing you.
Yep.
Yeah, we got lucky. We didn't burn our customer
Right.
this time,
Right.
but if we don't fix this,
Right.
it's going to hurt us
Yeah, luck
eventually.
will run out. Luck will run out. So let
Yep.
me turn the table real quick here. I was reading just a little bit about your background, and you're born in Hawaii, right?
Honolulu,
Honolulu,
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything about your culture that comes through as your background, have a through line through your career, your approach? Just highlight that a little bit for me.
That's a great question. So I was born in Hawaii, but this is still a bone that I have with my parents. They're both from New Jersey.
Okay.
They're both from New Jersey. My dad was in the army.
Oh, nice.
My mom goes out, they get married. A year later, I show up.
Hmm.
And so now there's this young couple with a newborn babe. And my mom says, I have no support system. Let's go
Hmm.
back to New Jersey.
Mm.
So they lived there for 2 years. I lived
Okay.
there for two months. So while I was born, I was ripped from my homeland.
Oh, no
I was
opportunity.
torn. I was
Yeah.
torn from my homeland. And I have gone back. I've got a picture of the hospital. It was a military hospital, the pink hospital on the hill.
How fun.
But unfortunately, Hawaii and being out in the Pacific doesn't it didn't have the influence that I would like. That would have been cool,
Would
right?
like to have. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
there's
yeah,
certainly a different element to, I think the lifestyle, the mentality,
absolutely.
those kinds of things. I was just curious if that has had an impact.
Yeah, no, no. I did marry a woman from the west coast of the US, right? From California.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't know if that,
she's had an
yeah.
impact of one way
Yeah,
or the
absolutely.
other. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, there's this thing about West, right? I will
Yeah.
say I will say I'm a water guy, right?
Okay.
I love the ocean. Where I live in New Jersey, we're probably 25, 30 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was there 2 nights ago, or maybe last night. I don't, yeah, it's 2 nights ago. I'm at the beach frequently,
Yeah.
right? Walks on the beach. That's my quiet place. That's my peaceful place. That's where ideas come to me.
Just
Yeah.
talking to somebody the other day, we were talking about his calendar, owner of a company. I'm like, tell me about your calendar, right? What's guiding your calendar? What's on your calendar? He's like,
Yep.
look, I'm doing really
Yep.
good with my block scheduling, all the
Yep.
things we
Yep.
talked
Yep.
about. It's like,
Yep. Yep.
where's the open space?
Right.
It's like, oh shit. No
Yeah.
open space. Like just like you said, this is where my ideas come in, right? This is where the
Yep.
clarity comes in.
Yep.
Jack Welch called it window time. Like that open time has to be on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be
Good.
cold out there, right? I
Hmm.
need to hear the waves. I need to see the vastness of the ocean.
Oh,
To me, that means possibilities. That like this is such a huge world
mhm.
and big opportunities. And whenever I feel like I'm closing in, right? Like
Yeah.
I need the beach. I don't see how people live like landlocked or too far away from some water. And it could be a little creek or
I have a
creek.
pool. Does that count?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As long as you
I'm kind of
agitate,
landlocked, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you're close enough, right? You're close
yeah,
enough. There's some
yeah.
rivers and
Oh
streams.
yeah, we were river. We were
Yeah,
river.
yeah. I need water. So,
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
that's the
just the,
thing.
the concept of being outside and the awe that you're talking about, like seeing
Correct.
something bigger than you,
Correct.
feeling small, right?
Right.
Thinking about those possibilities, that is that unlocking the creativity, getting in your right hemisphere. We spend
Right.
so much time. No, we're never bored, right? We have so much constant input, and that overwhelm, our brains were not designed for that level of constant connection. It creates chronic stress, and we're just not wired for that. And so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. It's
really
too much.
refreshing to hear that from
Yeah,
you.
it's
More
too much,
people need to.
especially with the phones and the gadgets that we
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I can refresh and see something new instantaneously.
Yeah.
And for people, especially leaders who are naturally curious,
Hmm.
that's dangerous because there's something new that will feed us if we expose ourselves to it.
Barking dogs, barking dogs,
Yeah,
barking dogs.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me say this because I think it's important. Athletically and professionally, the best teams I've been around have identified and have focused on the fundamentals,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? It's just reinforcing this whole barking dogs thing, right? In sports, the teams who win championships have mastered the fundamentals,
Yeah.
right? They're not trying to steal all these new crazy ideas. Like,
Yep. Consistency. Hmm.
yeah,
Fundamentals. Yep.
there's no new tricks,
Yeah.
right? Right? They shoot if it's basketball, they shoot well, they defend well, they pass well.
Right. Yep. And the elements that you've talked about though today around that chemistry with each other, right? They're not, I love the focus recently around the mental health piece and the
Right.
mental clarity and just being mindful of your mental game when you're showing up, when you're practicing, practice like you play like you
Yeah.
practice, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. And so that's
Yeah.
just that's a great new addition, I think, to the fields of sports. And there's I've seen a lot more um, comparison of the sports. You practice, 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 perform, practice, practice,
Yep.
practice, practice, perform. Well, in
Correct.
leadership and in life, we're like perform, 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 rest, perform, perform. We're not really adding that practice piece in, and your recovery and your rest is thought of as weakness versus part of excellence. And so just being part of shifting that narrative is valuable. I think it's good in what you say, what I try to say. And so happy that we're on the same page with that.
Yeah, that was a huge adjustment for me going from sports to the work world.
Mm,
It was practice, practice, practice. So with football, you practice 6 days or you prepare 6 days because part of that preparation includes rest.
yes.
Um, and mental preparation, not
Yep.
just physical preparation.
Yep.
And then you perform. I get to work and there's no preparation.
No rest.
And so the thing that I thought sort of revolved around that idea of measure twice, cut once. Maybe the reason we're not as effective or efficient as we should be is we don't practice.
Right.
And we certainly don't practice as a team,
Hmm.
right? We don't practice the handoffs
Right.
from one department to another.
Nope.
We just get upset with the other department when they don't do it the way we assumed they
But they
should
would do
do
it
it.
without communicating. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no simulators. There's no, yeah. The military has a lot to offer in this area as well, in terms of
100%.
how they practice. All right, I'm going to do my best to try to bring up a couple of the ideas that we've gone through
Okay.
because we've just gone through so many, and then I have some fun little questions that I like to end with. But if people are still here, because this is a nice long one, we have just covered so many amazing things. I love the focus on the we don't have a leader without a team, but then that leader really has to focus on that team, right? And that focus includes, the discipline, the remembering who and where you want to be, the use of pressure to build that chemistry for teams. And the common thread that is bringing everything together is this communication issue. um, and that we are watching our film, right? We
Yeah.
are learning
Yeah.
from where we've been and what we've done. Um, we're winning not because we're comparing ourselves to others, but we're comparing ourselves to us. So not the best, but their best. I've got that
Correct.
big heart around that one. So just amazing concepts that I can't wait to unpack more. I hope listeners get so much out of
Yeah, me too.
today. Here's my last fun questions. I've been doing these the last couple interviews. What are you reading right now?
I just bought it yesterday. So, um, I forgot. It's not visible. It's audio only.
You have to tell me.
So,
Made
so
okay. Made to stick.
made to stick. So, what I can do, is take the opportunity to share that I am writing a book.
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
probably 70, 80% done to complement my keynote.
Great.
Because after my talk, everyone's asking,
Yeah, they're
"Hey,
always
where's the
excited.
book? Where's the book?"
Yeah,
And the
yeah, yeah.
title of the book is going to be based on the African proverb that you referenced earlier. The title of the book is going to be "Go Together."
Mm-hmm.
Five
Beautiful.
components of extraordinary teams. And it's based on the proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah. Awesome.
So the book is now in the hands of the editor, and the editor knows that I speak because I'm writing the book to
Yeah, sure.
complement the speech. And she says, and she recommended the book a
Yeah,
couple
that's
days
great.
ago. So I went and
Yeah,
bought it.
no, I've heard of it. Great.
So
All right, you'll
um,
love this one. If you were a flavor of ice cream, what would you be?
butter pecan,
Butter pecan. All right, there you go.
smooth,
Easy,
smooth,
easy answer.
yeah, smooth and creamy, but a little nutty.
I love it. That is a perfect way to
Yeah,
end a
yeah.
fabulous conversation, Lee. This has been so much fun.
I've had a blast. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
And
Good.
I knew it would be when I met you and we had the brief conversation that we did. I knew this conversation would be awesome.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
that. That was a gift.
No, I
Wonderful.
mean that. I
All
mean it.
right. Well, till next time, thank you so much, Lee. This has been awesome.
Absolutely enjoy it. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for joining me today for another great hustle conversation with the Central PA executive. You can find out more about my guest in the show notes. And if you liked the episode or have something to add to our conversation, please find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Subscribe, rate, and review. Remember, leadership is best practiced in community. You know a leader who needs to hear something from this episode, so pay it forward and send it to them today. Don't wait. Until next time, the best leaders not only lead well, they live well and learn well. Bye now.